Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Kelsey. I am a homeschooling mother to 4 children ages infant to 11 years old, and today I wanted to show you 5 in a row curriculum. I have before 5 in a row and beyond 5 in a row. I'm excited to show you guys this. This is one that we tried out this year, and I'm excited to share it with you all. So these are the 3 that I'm going to be showing you today. This is before 5 in a row. This is for ages 2 to 4. We have volume 1. This is more like a like 5 to, I believe it's 9-year-old is what they have for this one listed in here. And then this one is for 8 to 12. So this is going to be more for your preschool. This is going to be for your early elementary, and then this is going to be for your later elementary. Now these are the older editions. The biggest difference I have seen is that the newer versions of these have some printables and things like that included in it that you don't have to go and search for yourself. But other than that, I have not found it to be a huge difference. These are a lot easier to come by as far as readily available. You can find them on eBay. There's lots of Facebook groups. I think some of these I got from eBay, some I got from a Facebook group. And the newer ones run around $50, I believe, brand new. I'll put the price right here for the new version. These older versions I got all for less than, not all of them, each of them I got for $20 or less. So let's go ahead and take a look. So these are the books. Now, the whole thing of 5 in a row is that it is literature based. It is also unit study based. So these are the stories that you are going to be covering in the book. And then they have the different activities, development of large motor skills, small motor skills, bath time, kitchen, store, toys, the arts, and different things like that. So for instance, here is the first book, Jessie Bear, What Will I Wear? You have your title, your author, the illustrator, copyright, and award. Obviously, this is an older edition, but it is going to tell you so that when you are looking this up in your library or on Amazon or wherever, you know exactly what you're supposed to be looking for. It has a summary of what the story is about. It has your Bible that you're going to be doing for this book. It has language arts, loving relationships, colors, patterns, and combinations, fine arts and drama, literature, poetry and art, can do find searches. So like as you read the story, you ask your child if they can search for things, recognizing patterns, order. So like, I think that's sequential order probably. Details, games to play, science, shapes, and then you have this. Now the whole point of 5 in a row and why it's called 5 in a row is because you read this to your child every day for 5 days. So, you know, on day 1 you might do follow the ball. On day 2 you might do science. On day 3 you might do see quickly. And so that is how that goes. So it's pretty straightforward for 2 to 4-year-olds. You're basically just reading a book together and then kind of talking about the different things in the books. So that is what it looks like. I think there is my lovely 2-year-old pulled a page out. We have not necessarily done this one. I have looked over it. This is something I probably won't start until a little bit later. But there is different things back here, like things you can do around the house, playing store, large boxes, blocks, different things like that, things you can do during bath time, just different things like that to interact and have fun and do different types of learning without it being sit down and do school. So that is before 5 in a row. Volume 1 of 5 in a row, as I said, I believe this is more towards like a 5 to 9-year-old. I'm sure it says in here somewhere if I can find it. This is the 1994 edition, I believe. So that's one of the bad things about getting the older version, is that it might be, you know, a little outdated with the information. So here are the stories that you are doing. Be sure to pause if you need to. Okay, so here is The Rag Coat, the author, illustrator, copyright, and the summary. Then again, you have social studies, geography, social studies, Appalachian culture, social studies, human relationships, funerals and mourning, stories, art viewpoint, art warm palette, facial expressions, quilts, mathematics, geometric shapes, science, coal, natural fabrics, and then you have moved on. So again, this is very much like an open-ended, if you want to do math on this day or social studies on this day, and so on and so on, as long as you're doing it 5 days in a row. Now, in the back of this one, this has some different things. So you have a review week that you can do. There are story discs. So you, I know that the new books have full color, and I think you can like pop them out. These you would have to make a copy, color them, cut them out, that kind of thing. But you have a world map, and after you do certain stories, you put them on the map. So this would be the story about Ping. This would be Madeline. And so you can do your geography that way. You can also create your own. This is a sample semester planning calendar. So depending on what month of the year it is, these are good recommendations. So obviously Cranberry Thanksgiving would be good in November. Katie and the Big Snow would be good in January. Things like that. There's also a sample lesson planning sheet. Again, in the newer versions, this is a little more updated and a little bit easier to navigate, I feel like, but I think this would work just as well. Or you could always go onto some of the 5 in a row Facebook groups, and I'm sure that they have some maybe updated sheets that other people have made that you can't get through any other curriculum. So they are giving you a sample idea. So social studies for Monday, language arts for Tuesday, art for Wednesday, math for Thursday, and science for Friday. Now I will say that most people, when they do things like language arts and math, it's just in addition to, as in enrichment to their math and language arts. This is not their full math and language arts. So I just wanted to mention that. So down here, they gave you a blank one that you can make a copy of. In here, they have something to go with a red pair of clogs, the rag coat, for Mike Mulligan, and a steam shovel. There's some music in here that goes with Cranberry Thanksgiving, and just different printables and things like that. They have a literary glossary, like alliteration and things like that. Elements of a story, so you can teach the elements of a story. And then there's the bibliography. So they also have finding books. It's a lot easier to find books now, I feel like, than it probably was back then. Integrating 5 in a row with additional curriculum. So as it says down here, you can do math and phonics every single day, which would indicate that this is for a younger child that is still doing phonics. And then you incorporate your 5 in a row social studies, then language arts, then art, then applied math and science. So as I said before, you're not really doing your language arts and math as your, with 5 in a row as your main curriculum. It's more in conjunction with. Okay. So there is that. Now, this is the one that I have had the most experience with, and that is Beyond 5 in a Row. And we have actually done full lessons, like a full book with this. So you are using chapter books at this point. This is the Thomas A. Edison Young Inventor. We were using this with our Part of Dakota this year, and when I was looking at the book lists that went with this, which I will also mention that some of the 5 in a row, the new ones, have not been updated and revised, and the ones that have, they have altered some of the book lists slightly or combined some of the book lists, so that's something to be aware of. But we had this, and so when I was looking at the book lists, there was a couple of books that I already had. So I thought I might as well just try this out, and since I'm going to be reading these books anyways. So you are only using 4 different books: the Boxcar Children, Thomas Edison, Homer Price, and Betsy Ross. So we actually have Thomas Edison and Homer Price. I know you can get the Boxcar Children pretty much any library. I think this would be the only one that I would have to purchase if I wanted to. So it has some information about finding your way around. Now, again, some of this is a little old school, but different things: drama, art, writing and discussion questions, career path, cooking, things like that. You are pretty much reading a chapter every day, or, you know, depending on how long you want to take to get through a book. There are 17 chapters in Thomas Edison. So this would probably take you 3 to 4 weeks. I believe the whole goal of this is to spend maybe doing two of these a year, two of these volumes a year. So you could spend about a month doing this book and spread it out a little bit, maybe do it 4 days a week, or you could probably get through it in 3 weeks if you really kind of did several chapters. But I think it would be better to do maybe a chapter every other day and then kind of do multiples of the activities or things like that. Since we were doing this in conjunction with Heart of Dakota, we did a chapter every day, 4 days a week, and then we incorporated some of our Heart of Dakota stuff and some of our Beyond 5 in a row. So you are going through here. So here is chapter 1, and our chapters did not always line up to exactly where we were that day. Sometimes we would do, you know, we would read a chapter and then maybe do the activity a day or two later. Just depended what we were trying to accomplish, what days we do our social studies, what days we do our science, things like that. So for your history, so what we will cover in this chapter: history and geography, the Great Lakes, the Erie Canal, how it came to be, making a map of Edison's life, science, incubating eggs, the scientific method, language arts, descriptive word choices, creative writing, classic connection, and folk songs, the Erie Canal. There are people outside staring at me right now. It's the evening, so people are taking walks, and I'm just in here talking to myself. All right, so I know for sure we made a map of Thomas Edison's life. And we did the scientific method. I know we did the Great Lakes because we actually live in the Midwest. We're going to be visiting some Great Lakes this summer. And so so that is pretty much everything that you have just for chapter 1. So like I said, you could maybe read chapter 1 on Monday and then do several activities for the whole week and make it last even longer. For us, that would have been way too slow of a pace. So basically we would do chapter 1 and then pick like a geography, and then, you know, read chapter 2 and pick a science, because we do social studies on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and science on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's kind of how it worked out most of the time. Sometimes, like I said, we would go back and forth. And so we got really into this. We did speed of light and sound. My kids watched some videos. Then they have, like, you can make a birthday cake because it talks about Thomas Edison's birthday. Ice skating. My son was really concerned about hypothermia and frostbite when we had some cold weather this past winter. So we kind of talked about that and watched some videos on that. And, well, how should you dress? What are some things, you know, safety things that you can do? Different things like that. So we pretty much just stuck to the social studies and science aspects of this curriculum. We talked about some of the vocabulary words. You could definitely do some writing assignments and things like that from this. We found a really cool video about, because he works on the railway, the American rail history. We learned about Pullman cars and Fred Harvey and all of that kind of stuff. And it was just really fascinating. This science pollution one, I think it would have been really fun to do like air, water, and ground. Basically, there's just, the thing about this is that it will give you some ideas, but it's basically giving you the information about the topic. It's giving you the topic idea and information, and then you can kind of do with it as you wish. So for me personally, I think it would have been a lot better for me and something I would consider as a main curriculum for us personally if it was like, okay, here's the information, here's this, here's an science experiment idea, or here's a, you know, like something you can do. And sometimes it does, but for the most part, it's just the topic and the information. And then you can kind of do with it as you will. So in some ways that's really good because it's very open-ended, but in other ways it's a little too open-ended. Like, I like you to hold my hand, but I want to be able to venture off if I want to as well. The back has quite a bit of information that is really, really neat. So they have the scope of topics. So if you live in a state where you have to give specifically what your children are learning in certain topics. So for instance, they have, the first book is the Boxcar Children. So here is all of the history topics that you will be learning in the Boxcar Children. Here's all the geography, all of the science, the language arts, and the literature, and all of the vocabulary words. So this would be really great too. And there's actually way more back here. So more vocabulary words, fine arts, issues of human relationships, and career paths. So if you wanted to use this for a planning, or you needed something to show your, you know, state administrator or whatever, this would be really great for that. And it has that for all of the books. It also has a map of the United States and Canada, and then it also has the Thomas Edison Regional Map in Great Lakes. So this is one that my boys worked on. I made copies of this map, and then they actually filled this information out. It also has the sign language chart on here, and then it has Think Like a Scientist Using the Scientific Method sheet. And then it has a little award certificate in the back. That is basically the difference between all three of these, is that, you know, with before 5 in a row, it's basically like, okay, we're gonna read a book, and then we're going to, you know, the kids don't even realize they're doing anything. You don't really have to go out of your way to do anything or print anything or anything like that. It takes time and effort, but it's not going to be something that you necessarily have to prep ahead of time. When it comes to a 5 in a row, in and of itself, these are more picture books. So, you know, if you have older kids who really still like picture books, which my son does, my oldest is 11, I think he would really be into something like this. And then this would be, you know, good for maybe something we could do over the summer or on a Christmas break or something like that. My baby is screaming right now, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up. But when it comes to, you know, actually going a little bit more in depth, then you're definitely going to want something like Beyond 5 in a Row. We actually really enjoyed this. I feel like we got a lot of information from this without a lot of effort. So we would actually go out on the porch, read the chapter, we would kind of sit and talk about this, and then we would, you know, watch a video, or I had found some different activities to do or things like that. It was very easy to implement in with Heart of Dakota, and that's what I liked about it. Now, it's definitely Heart of Dakota tells you more of what to do. It's a little bit more hands-on. It tells you, here's a science experiment, do this. So I felt like when it came to the social studies and history aspect, Beyond 5 in a Row was more than enough. We were getting our information for the book, we were getting our information from the guide, but when it came to science and things like that, I needed a little bit more. I needed it to say, okay, here's an experiment idea, or you could do this or that, or here's some exploration ideas, or notebooking ideas, various things like that. And I just did not get that from 5 in a Row. So with all of that being said, I definitely would recommend 5 in a Row. I think it is a great curriculum when it comes to those younger grades where you want to do some science and social studies and art, but you don't want to have to purchase a full curriculum and go super in depth because you don't really need to at those ages. This will kind of, you know, get that curiosity bug, but in general, when it came to Beyond 5 in a Row for older students, I definitely like it, but I could not use it on its own. I definitely would need to kind of combine it with a couple of different things. So if you are using a different curriculum that, you know, like for instance, maybe you're learning about the Revolutionary War and you wanted to implement some ideas for the Betsy Ross book, or maybe you just wanted to do a literature study for Homer Price, this would be good. This is good to pull things from, but I don't know that I could ever use this as our main curriculum. So please let me know down in the comments if you have ever used 5 in a row, how you feel about it. I know Abby uses it. I cannot remember her channel name, but I will link her down below. She's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to 5 in a row, and I know she does this as more of an enrichment. As an enrichment, I think it's absolutely perfect. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.